plenty of needle now here in Dublin. An all-Irish grudge match at middleweight. Can local man Anthony Fitzgerald defend his turf? His bitter rival from Cork, Gary Spike O'Sullivan, is vowing to knock him out. This should be fiery. Let's get back to the MC, Tuka K.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next fight is set for 10 rounds in the middleweight division. Let's welcome the fighters to the ring. Coming up first to the red corner, Gary O'Sullivan.
Spike to his friends, and seemingly a man always with a smile on his face, although that smile was wiped off when he was outpointed by Billy Joe Saunders back in July 2013. At that point, he was ranked as high as number 4 in the world. But he's been on a bit of a sort of, not quite a slippery slope, just no slope at all since then, just the one fight. And if you look at it from his opponent's perspective tonight, he's been the guy that's been dodging Anthony Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald says he's been chasing him since 2009. Well, he's finally caught up with him. But if he's a fella that feels pressure, Jim, it wasn't showing yesterday. I mean, he could hardly stop grinning at the weigh, and he looked very, very comfortable, very relaxed.
No, but we see some of the verbals that get a little bit nasty, but I think there was a little bit of humour between the two of them. I think they're both really good characters. You know, Sullivan is tough, he's a puncher. He's only lost to Billy Joe Saunders, but he hasn't boxed quite at the same level that Anthony Fitzgerald has been boxing in. So it really is, it's a 50-50 match. It's a pick 'em, and then we have the, you know, the little bit of needle between Dublin and Cork. There's always that rivalry which will add a little bit of spice to it. But I think this is a matchup that doesn't really need to be spiced up. I think they're both really going to put on a show for us.
I got the impression in the weigh-in yesterday, Jim, it was the fans that were more wound up by it all, as you say, that big rivalry between the two cities, the two fellas. They couldn't stop smiling and joking. I don't think there's any personal grudge, you know. We just looked at the Bellew-Cleverly situation, and that kicks off for real next week after all the talking has stopped. This isn't in that kind of level at all, you know. There's two guys that just like doing what they're doing, and they've got no personal animosity towards each other at all, I don't think.
And Sullivan, he certainly looks very relaxed as he makes his way to the ring. If this is the fight he's been dodging, I don't see any signs of it.
Jim, this is a guy with 3 young daughters at home. He probably gets in the ring for a bit of peace.
Well, he's looking relaxed, composed, considering that he's in for what has to be a tough night's work.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the blue corner, please welcome Anthony Fitzgerald.
It's a home crowd, don't be any doubt about that. Anthony Fitzgerald heard that roar, preceded by Seamus Macklin, his trainer. The chase finally over from Fitzgerald's perspective. He's been yelling for O'Sullivan since 2009. Finally, he gets him. And you heard Darren Barker talking earlier. His big win was that 5th round stoppage of Afi Belbasham, who once boxed Darren for the European title. Darren couldn't stop him in 5. But that apart, whilst you said, Jim, he's mixed in a higher class, he's been found wanting at that higher class. Eamon O'Kane's done him a couple of times. But then you're looking at guys like Andy Lee and Hassan Ndam and G-Camp, the former WBO champion. Those are real high-end fighters that he's come up short against. So that's no disgrace. The big question I've got tonight is, Jim, on the scales yesterday, he was 6.5 pounds lighter. How much of a difference is that going to make tonight?
Well, that can make a big difference, considering now we have the weigh-ins 24 hours in advance. But I've looked down, that worried me a little bit, but I looked down through the weights that both fighters have been weighing in over the last couple of years, and neither of them have really been monsters. So, I mean, it's quite possible they've relaxed the weight that they decided to box at. and possibly neither man will put on an awful lot more weight. I mean, we've seen fighters putting on ridiculous amounts of weights between weigh-ins and first bell. I don't believe that'll be the case here tonight. I hope not.
This place has just gone crazy. Oh, and a bit of needle there. Now, O'Sullivan just barged straight into Anthony Fitzgerald. I don't know if we call that or not, but Fitzgerald was walking around the ring, taking the applause, and O'Sullivan shoulder charged him. And now there is a bit of needle in there. And now this crowd, if it wasn't wound up enough already, it's really, look at that.
No, well, we don't like to see that. We have to remember that this is a sport. Sometimes bad things that we don't like happen in this sport. And when you see, behaviour like that before a fight starts, it doesn't augur well for the game. I'm sorry to see that happening. But, I mean, that certainly wasn't tongue-in-cheek and light-hearted. That was a little bit of nastiness from Gary O'Sullivan.
And very out of character. As I say, after the build-up, they were just laughing and joking seemingly yesterday, but there was nothing, as you say, Jim, funny about that at all. O'Sullivan really bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man in charge of the actions inside the ring will be our sparring referee, Mickey Van. Introducing to first the fighter in the red corner, wearing maroon trunks with white trim, weighing at 11 stone 9 pounds 8 ounces. He holds a record of 17 wins, 10 of those coming by way of knockout against only one defeat. He comes to us from Cork. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Spike O'Sullivan. And introducing the fighter in the blue corner, wearing light blue and weighing at 11 stone 3 pounds. His record, 23 fights, 16 wins, 6 defeats, and 1 no contest, including 4 KO victories. He fights out of Dublin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anthony, the Pride of Dublin, Fitzgerald.
You both had your instructions in the dressing room. Just remember what I told you. Shake hands. No noise with the head. Come out when you hear the bell. That'll do.
Mickey Van in charge of this one. Good luck with that. Because it suddenly got very, very real and very personal in that ring. And the smiles are gone. Look at the face on Fitzgerald there, just glowering at O'Sullivan. And O'Sullivan glowering straight back at him, scheduled for 10. Anything could happen. And off we go. They are loading up right from the start. O'Sullivan just teeing off, dropping the hands, bit of taunting, showing his confidence. Look how low the hands are though from O'Sullivan.
Well, O'Sullivan made a point before the introductions. Maybe it was a good point to make, but I don't like the way he did that, and he's making a second point now. He's landed solid shots straight away. He's bringing them up from his thighs, and Fitzgerald doesn't see them coming. A real solid left hand there landed. But I think he wants to show Fitzgerald that he's not bothered whatsoever about the power he possesses.
Oh, nice uppercut. Absolutely nailed Fitzgerald there. Remember, it's O'Sullivan that's carrying that extra weight. And it's counted there. Right hand. Flattened Fitzgerald, who's going to struggle to beat this count. He's all over the place. He's absolutely gone. And O'Sullivan is celebrating a first round stoppage. Explosive. Fitzgerald has no idea where he is. The legs have gone. That extra power, we talked about it, Jim. Just look at what it's done to Fitzgerald. O'Sullivan has just wiped him out. There was a warning there earlier. He didn't heed it, and he got him with the second one.
Well, as as the first bell sounded, Gary O'Sullivan came out into the centre of the ring, looking at a man who just thought he was in a different class to his opponent, and he pretty much proved that it wasn't a lucky punch, because he had landed at least 3 solid punches, in particular a solid left uppercut, which he brought up from his hip. So good, we're seeing the sportsmanship now, which we're always pleased to see. But O'Sullivan came in like a man on a mission, and that was mission accomplished in record time. A big shock. I really looked upon this as the fight of the night, possibly tonight. 10 torrid rounds, but first round stoppage, terrific from Gary O'Sullivan.
Well, the warnings had been there. He kept his hands low and just fired them up. Hurtful looking punches.
His body language just suggested that he had nothing at all to worry about that Anthony Fitzgerald possessed. Put his hands down, didn't think about defence, and just let full power shots go. Every punch he threw was a finisher, and that one landed bang on the button. He'd already landed a couple of big shots before then, and the way he walked back to his corner, then midway through the count, he walked across to the other neutral corner, waved to the crowd, because he knew, as everyone did, this fight was over. Beautiful punch. So maybe caught cold is the term we sometimes use, but I mean, he was caught a couple of times before the finisher, but there was no way he was coming back from that one.
I mean, it was a gem, wasn't it? Look at this, loading up. Fitzgerald didn't even see it coming. You alluded to that anyway, the hands so low, Fitzgerald couldn't see where those punches were coming from. And O'Sullivan knew, the rest of us knew, it was good night at that point. And amazingly, the fighter's instinct was to try and get up, but the legs had just betrayed him completely. Well, it was one of those fights you just thought, well, anything could happen here. We could have a 10-rounder, or it could all be gone inside the first round, and we got the latter. But O'Sullivan, as you say, he swaggered out. On that first bell, it was just like, right, I'm going to get the job done. And when I saw him on the scales, Jim, yesterday, you just thought, that's a big, big weight differential. And just look at what it's done. And that's really good to see after all the talk and all the yakety-yak stuff that was going on. They can be mates again, and that's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute 15 seconds into the round number 1. Your winner by KO, Gary "Spike" O'Sullivan.
And I have to say, Jim, sporting applause from a crowd that's got to be pretty disappointed here as well. It's been accepted with good grace by a Dublin crowd, because there must have been such disappointment. They were so whipped up by the Fitzgerald entrance, and that's the last thing they wanted. But you just looked around there as he was being introduced there as the winner, O'Sullivan. Just good, respectful applause everywhere.